And right here, Oklahoma, Jaiva, Revan, Paralysis, Happy, and Deacon, a team that has gone throughout the season undefeated, a team that has done the trials, the tribulations, and have proven to us all what they're capable of, and obviously that they're capable here to be in the semifinals of the NECC Champions Division. But now, Ray, let's go ahead and take a look over at Washington University in St. Louis.
As we got QWQ, Elo, Peachy, Azure, and Bradley. So again, like we talked about, both of these teams have had a fantastic season. The big question for me as we're looking at Washington is going to be for Oklahoma is they pretty much, so we said they've, been on this 10, they've only dropped 2 maps. Both of those 2 maps were to co-college. So everyone else, they have 3-0'd. Besides that match, they really haven't faced much adversity. And the further you get through these playoffs, the tougher the teams you play. So when you're going up against some competition like you will today for Oklahoma, how are they going to be able to
Washington? Otherwise, Oklahoma could continue to run away with it. But it all begins here, Ray, on our first map of Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and I mean, now that we've been on the patch for as long as we have, you're in this situation if you are these college teams where you've had a lot of time to practice, a lot of time to get used to these new compositions and new, tank meta, which tank is the best and which one is reigning supreme. I think, we're still going to see a lot of Maga and a lot of Orisa, especially more on a brawly close quarters type map like Lijiang Tower. So I can't wait to see what adaptations these teams have made on this patch so far now that we've had all this time to practice on it.
And it all comes down to also understanding your opponent, looking back at scrims, looking back at the VOD reviews, and trying to figure out what the success has been and how to go about dismantling it. But of course, when we're talking about the Champions Division, Ray, there's a lot of adaptability here. There's not much that's going to be in the form of breaking their backs against anything. So there should always be an answer, and an answer to whatever they have going on against each other.
Couldn't agree with you more as we get loaded up into the lobbies and we get a preview of what these teams are looking at. We are starting out on Gardens, which, tends to open itself up for the possibility of running some sort of dive. But both of these teams are like, nah, we're going to go the route of the Orisas. These Sims are going to become Tracers. That's going to be the big matchup for me, is going to be Elo versus Jaiva. This Sojourn going up against the Echo. The Echo is going to have a lot of burst damage potential, but if Elo can take some good angles and find some really good rail shots, that's going to be the opening that WUSTL is looking for.
It really is. Jaiva, though, is going to be the sort of nuisance and that pressure that's going to be continued to applied onto Washington University. Already putting themselves onto the point is going to be Oklahoma, where Washington is going to try and meet against them. Jaiva taking off in this flank position, landing a couple of those sticky nades onto Elo's face. Looking back around, though, Paralysis is going to be the first one to fall, and Oklahoma is going to try and reconvene and right the ship as best they can, looking for any possible damage. The loss of your tank so early on to the fight is going to give Washington University this first capture of the point.
Yeah, and they're going to clean up as the players for Oklahoma were not able to get out of dodge. So that's going to be the key for Oklahoma, is protecting Paralysis on that Orisa. That's probably the worst opening pick you could have allowed if you're Oklahoma. I feel like if you're Jaiva and Revan, you got to find your way, especially with this Echo, to find the angles and look to get this burst damage down, or else what's the point of the Echo?
Around. Paralysis back with the team. Everyone's regrouped with each other. Oklahoma is still prodding at the weaknesses of Washington, but they're not going to be able to find them. Paralysis pushed back once more. Revan's pickoff onto Azure is going to be massive. A healer gone, and a lot of sustainability along with it for Washington University. Even more so, you've gotten rid of the Kitsune rush, so any chances of being able to hold on here died with them.
That it did, but I think Washington University was doing the right thing in just backing up. I wasn't sure if they were going to look to fight on the point and take as much percentage. Now they're able to take a quick recontest that they are.
That was scary. Almost got knocked off, but we're going to see an ultimate for an ultimate. Bradley's sound barrier in exchange for Deacon's Kitsune rush. Now we're going to see another one. Here comes in the Terror Surge. Ultimates are being popped off at a mile a second here, but it's Oklahoma who is finding the greatest of success. Jaiva's duplicate onto the Orisa, spinning them all off to their death. Oklahoma, a firm iron grip on this point.
and that's a really good ult exchange if you're Oklahoma. 3 for 3. You couldn't ask for better. You commit a lot of ults, but you force out a lot of ultimates in exchange, and you're going to have the perfect counter to these incoming DPS ultimates because you're going to have happy sound barriers. So they are locked and loaded in a really good position as now they take the lead percentage-wise, Sam.
WQ, Elo holding on by the thinnest of margins. He'll back up to full, now needs to use the overclock to find success, but Happy is going to dampen that success, and even worse as Revan eliminates this overclocking Sojourn. QWQ with nowhere left to go, health down in the negatives. Peachy speared and out of here, flown off the map is Bradley. And Oklahoma, it was a rocky start, but it's just looking perfection from them right now.
Yeah, as you mentioned, ever since they had that unfortunate very first fight where they lost paralysis earlier, they have not looked back. This is going to be Washington's opportunity to get back in, but it's going to be on the back of QWQ to make something happen. Sam has the pulse bomb. Oklahoma has nothing to deal with it right now, so this is their opportunity to find a way in.
Last team fight here for Washington. They need to get the point right here, right now. Otherwise, Oklahoma is walking away with the first sub map. It's looking like it might. In comes the pulse bomb, but a little too wide, finding no damage and finding no eliminations from it until ELO has to step up to the plate, has taken down paralysis. Now the rest of Washington swarming onto the site, demolishing through Oklahoma and purchasing themselves some life.
That's the kind of fights you're going to need if you're Washington. All you really committed in that fight was the pulse bomb. However, Oklahoma, they're just slowly building to a stockpiled war chest of ultimates. 4 they're going to have online, and they should be able to use all 4 of them to take this map, Sam. It's going to take a gargantuan sound barrier from Bradley to mitigate a lot of these ultimates coming in.
PG's so close to their own Terra Surge. Up through here, Jaiva, duplicate onto the Orisa, looking for the juicy support targets in the backline, but ripped out of it. Now a Terra Surge from paralysis pulls their way through a sound barrier to keep the team alive. What a protection, Suzu, and then what a snipe onto Revan. Get them out of here. Washington University now has a Terra Surge, and they are eating them all alive. Oklahoma, they felt like they were in control. They felt like they had it all. But Washington University comes back with an answer of their own, and they hold firm, they hold strong. What a play.
And that was exactly what I talked about. Between the Kitsune Rush and the sound barrier, they mitigated every single ultimate that Oklahoma had coming into that fight. And in the meantime, while those support ultimates are going off, they were able to build up to the Terra Surge and the Overclock and clean up. That was just a clinic on how to properly rotate and use these ultimates properly if you're Washington. That was just beautiful to see, Sam.
Oh, goodness gracious, looking at the replay. That Azure Suzu onto the pulse bomb, then to follow it up by eliminating the Tracer with a clean headshot. It was picturesque. A moment that you will like frame on the fridge, right? Mom, get the camera. Washington University, though, has that first sub map. We're not looking at much differences here between our two teams.
Yeah, I mean, so far, it's just, I mean, that was 99-99. You can ask for more when you're going up against the best of the best that NECC has to offer in the Central Champions division. As now Jaiva, now that this is Night Market, you're going to have a lot of interesting angles that you can take around, especially with these windows that you can throw the sticky bombs in through.
But I'm on the point, Washington University forcing Oklahoma to meet them on it, taking advantage of all of the shielding that they have available to them. Oh, this is just disgusting. They were wanting to go for it. Elo caught out once more. Jaiva sees the opportunity, and they're always going to be taking it and pushing them off the edge. Happy's double kill boop. Every Lucio's dream wrapped up in a blanket. Oklahoma taking control of the point first.
And that just gets you so much percentage toward that sound barrier. Happy already going to have it coming into this next fight because of that double boop kill that you allowed to happen. Washington, unfortunately, just they never got the angle on Jaiva and were able to put pressure on them to be able to. That's Elo's job, is knowing where Jaiva is and being able to apply and make Jaiva have to back up.
So close right there. This time around, the table has been turned. Oklahoma gets a benefit from being inside of the gazebo itself. Trying to keep their eyes, maybe put some pressure onto the support line of Oklahoma, but they're not falling into it. And Happy has this sound barrier. Anything goes sideways, anything goes topsy-turvy, that's going to keep the team up and going. And now we have the counteracting suit. Oh my gosh. Revan was right there, but a quick blink is going to put them back onto the firm footing of this earth. And now we're going to see Happy expend the sound barrier. Oklahoma coming back for blood and for revenge on what happened on that previous submap.
Yeah, that was an absolutely devastating fight for Washington. 3 ultimates in exchange for 2, and your pulse bomb got nothing. Process was able to eat that with the javelin spin. So now Oklahoma is in much more of a power position coming in to this next fight. Revan's going to have the pulse bomb. We haven't seen any pulse bombs really connect like that from these tracers in this match so far. So looking for a big one coming out of Revan to set things up and tie this up and force a map 3.
Maybe ending now. Had to see if Elo can make it happen. Hit with a javelin spear up against the wall, and now nothing is going to be garnered off of the back of that overclock. They are going to get the point, but is it going to be a more permanent hold, or is it just a tenuous grasp at best? Pulse bomb goes wide, doesn't quite stick onto his target, but now we're going to see the Terra Surge come in. Quick boop now to return the favor once more. They get out of there with that protection Suzu. Azura has been caught out though. And now for Oklahoma, they just need to press the target, press the attack. Paralysis is so low, Peachy is not gonna let them get out of here with their life. Put them back onto the point. It's just up onto the shoulders of the rest of whoever remains on the side of Washington University. They've gotten rid of paralysis, but now they've also gotten rid of the point. So as it's ticking upward, they need to balance it delicately to get back on there and bring themselves into overtime. It's a back and forth rotation between this, but neither side going up against the other as they're ready to meet and fight once more.
Yeah, but sound barrier was forced out of Brownie. Now they can re-engage with the Kitsune Rush.
Oh, and this is going to be massive too because Happy still has a sound barrier of their own. You'll keep Elo locked away. Don't allow the Reaper to run off with their own power. Azure brings out the Kitsune Rush, but who is going to be able to use it? Revan, like a nuclear bomb in the back of their targets. They are all just gone. For Oklahoma, the second sub map of Night Market is going to be theirs. Ray, we are looking at the third one.
And that's Oklahoma coming back in, fighting angry, coming back with a vengeance as they played that beautifully. And I felt like that was going to be the perfect map for Jaiva. Just so many different positions and spots you could come from as the Echo, and being able, I mean, like windows all over the point. You can just, you know, gently float in the high ground, throw in those sticky bombs, keep your distance, and you can get a lot of value out of the Echo specifically on this map. Did you know the final map will be Control Center? I think this is the map where the Echo is going to be the least effective of the 3. So if they're going to continue to play this Echo, which it seems like they aren't based on what we're lined up in right now. But the one thing I'm excited about is Washington University. They are locked and loaded on the Ram composition with the May. So they're going full brawl May Reaper with the Moira too. So they are looking full brawl and looking to win these fights fast with the limited heals that the Moira is going to be able to provide.
Hopefully it's going to work out for them because it needs to. Oklahoma now meeting against their matchup of Washington University and St. Louis. I was a very convincing win on Night Market. Control Tower, there has to be some fight back from Washington. There has to be some answer, and hopefully it's going to be here. But Jaiva has questions and answers of their own, and what's even scarier is the poke potential of this Cassidy, holding the high ground, looking down at the targets, lands the sticky nade. It's going to be ice blocked out, so you've drawn something away from them, but they've lost paralysis once more. And even though they got the pick onto Elo, it's not really good enough to equalize things out, especially, wait a minute though, you've gotten rid of QWQ, and now you're starting to see even more possibilities here. And even worse, Ray, we've lost signals.
Very unfortunate as, so with the compositions that we're seeing out of these teams, the problem for Oklahoma is just going to be the isolation of their Orisa. But for Washington, this Tracer being able to get in your backlights and Revan be able to poke from a distance, that's your issue. You have to find a way to get Jaiva off your backline. You don't have to even kill them, just get them away and find a way to get on top of Revan. You can't allow him to poke.
And Oklahoma is so good at drawing out cooldowns early from Washington University. Here's the coalescence from Azure. It's looking at everything they possibly can. Oh my word, what is this Deadeye going to be capable of? Booped away, Reven's not going to get much out of it, but they do get the sound barrier that's going to keep them alive. Azor shot and dinked in the head, good enough for Happy to clean them up here, and good enough for Oklahoma to wipe the floor with Washington University.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, Sam. I mean, Azir kind of going on the flank to try and go after Revan. It just did not work. However, Oklahoma expended every single ultimate they had in this fight. So advantage in this ensuing fight is going to be in the favor of Washington. I feel you can just go in with this annihilation, and there's absolutely nothing that Oklahoma can do defensively to deal with it.
57% ticking in favor of Oklahoma. Washington University struggling against their target. This composition not going in the direction. Even with the Blizzard, Revan is still taking out your support. They're still taking out Azur. And Oklahoma is just not missing a singular beat, cleaving through every single last player of Washington University.
Yeah, you just cannot allow that to happen if you're Washington. You have a Lucio. You have to be able to get on top of these players. QWQ is now going to go over to a Cassie of their own and be able to help in the poke battle, but it might just be too little too late. Final fight territory, they have to get value out of this Death Blossom Annihilation combination that they're going to have online.
Again, we're in final fight territory. It's so very close. Washington University gave us a phenomenal showing, but Oklahoma is that step up, a reminder of what this team is capable of and how scary they are. Peachy at death's door needs to stay alive to find the value out of this rampage, or give Elo a chance to pop off with a Death Blossom, but Revan's Deadeye finds right onto his target of QWQ, and Elo is still trying to find the opportunity to pop off here. We have the Coalescence going crazy, seeing at all possible angles of where there might be something to have happened here. Washington University, they've used almost every single piece of inside of the tool chest. They get the point back, but Oklahoma, well, they got something to work with themselves.
Yeah, they're going to be coming back with both of their support ultimate. This is where Danger's going to set in. I feel like you're just looking for a miracle Death Blossom from Elo to try and catch the players off guard before the sound barrier's online.
Oh, here it is, the Death Blossom. Oklahoma wanted to draw them right in there. Happy held onto the sound barrier for long enough to give Oklahoma the breathing room after that devastating ultimate that didn't quite go in the favor of Washington University. Now brought into overtime, this team needs to get back on and try to fight against Oklahoma, but a Deadeye is going to be the extra wrinkle in this plan. Looking at all of the possible targets, all of the possible angles, seeing any opportunity, they held on for as long as they possibly could, and that forced Washington to disperse away from each other and Oklahoma to just descend upon them and take it apart piece by piece. Oklahoma still inside of this overtime. Washington University not giving it up. The Coalescence needs to keep the team alive, and Washington University has pushed them back.
Oh, if they can get these exiting picks, Sam, it might be something here for Washington. Oh, man, it looks like Oklahoma is going to be able to get out. 85%, however, Oklahoma has no time to waste. They have to push in. Washington has no ultimates to work with, as Paralysis has the Terror Surge to be able to set things up and take Lijiang Tower.
The actual final fight territory to determine who's taking map 1 of Lijiang Tower. Get back in their face. Both of the tanks having their ultimate. A Terror Surge is going to go in. Revan has eliminated Elo, but Peachy's going to return the favor. The picks are going towards Washington University. They get right on top of them, but it's back and forth. The trades are coming in. Peachy sees the cowboy, yeehaws them out of here. Now it's a last chance, a last ditch effort for whatever Oklahoma was trying to do here. They need to get it done now. The team is trying to reconvene on top of each other. The reinforcements to come in and keep the hopes going. Paralysis staying alive. A beautiful stint from Taiba, but is it going to be enough to stop Washington? No, it is not. And Washington University has sent the first blow to Circuit Royale, right? The poke heavy map. We're probably going to be seeing a lot of Sigma in these early stages, a lot of Widowmaker, a lot of Hanzo potentially. And on top of that, we're also seeing some substitutes. Funnily enough, though, from Washington University.
Yeah, we got Wales coming in and Bubba coming in. So I think that's going to be map specific for Circuit Royale, because it's kind of like you talked about. It feels like no matter what meta we are in, Circuit Royale will forever be a Sigma hit scan type of map. So for me, that's probably what Wales is coming in for, is to play that double hit scan, because we saw QWQ has the ability to play that Hanzo. I mean, not Hanzo, Cassie. So they have the ability to play hit scans. So now you're in this situation where you probably want both of your DPS on those types of heroes. And then Bubba might be a shout if they want to go double flex support, because you're not looking for a Lucio on a map like this.
No, you're not. You're going through these long sight lines. You're going through moments where you don't really need speed as much, where you're really just looking for the opportunity to be able to position yourself correctly and keep the team alive and going. But I mean, it all is in the court of Oklahoma. They felt like they were coming into this. They had the confidence behind them of knowing what they've accomplished, knowing how they've gotten here. Washington University and St. Louis, whatever they've done, figured out whatever tools they needed to dismantle Oklahoma. They had it there. But then again, we talk about it for Oklahoma, that second sub map. They were so dominant. They were a force of nature almost, that it felt like. So Washington University, they may have gotten the first win, Ray, but they're not out of the woods just yet.
Oh no! I mean, Oklahoma. You have to think they're coming back with a vengeance on the map. This was their pick, so you feel like they gotta feel really confident coming into this next map. But like I mentioned, you're so used to 3-0ing. You're so used to getting these dubs. If you're Oklahoma, how does it feel to just drop the first map like that? How is your mentals? Are you going to be able to mentally recover, especially with how close it was? It came down to the wire. Sometimes close maps like that can be the most frustrating ones to lose, because you can just be like, oh man, you know, if just this happened and this happened, then we could have won. And you can really get in your head about that kind of thing. Because sometimes when you're just in a blowout and you know the other team's better, you're just like, not much we could do here. You know what I mean?
I don't think for Oklahoma that's going to deter them much, Ray. I'm going to be honest, right? They've been in kind of these situations before. It's been a while, obviously, but they've been here. They know what it's like. You're not in the Champions Division. You're not in the playoffs. You're not in the semifinals. Your mental isn't crystal clear, and if victory isn't the only thing in your mind.
As we take a look at these compositions, no surprises here. Sigma all the way. Hanzo's Widows. I mean, full on mirror. So really, this is just going to be a battle of these hit scans looking for opening picks. And will you be able to find it? We know on a map like Circuit Royale, it can be very tough for these attacking hit scans to find your angles. That's actually one of the reasons why this map is under consideration for a possible rework coming in future seasons.
Put them down on the ground below. Jaiva was in the skies and the heavens above in the last map of Lijiang, but going to take a bit more of a grounded territory here. Paralysis. Oh, so scary. Even scarier is the Whale's headshot, matching their mirror of Revan and getting rid of them. QWQ. I wanted to be left out of the kill feed either. Gets rid of Deacon. Gets rid of the hopes for Oklahoma to continue this push.
As the big bad Whales coming into the map and already finding two big picks early on. If you're Oklahoma, you gotta watch your angles, watch your sight lines, because Whales and QWQ are hunting for you, and they will find you. As we see, Jaiva has been able to take control of this high ground, but just will they be able to get Crossfire up there and force them away?
Oh, it was right there almost. You heard the dink on the Deacon. They're still alive, and that's all that matters. You're Oklahoma, looking down the sight lines. The cart's making slow but steady progress, pushing inch by inch against Washington University, gaining some of that valuable ground, and now gaining even more valuable pickoffs in the numbers. Revan has come alive, and Revan is ripping the heads off of all of the competition. Bubba is still alive and still living, but for not much longer. One headshot from Revan and the cleanup from Deacon. Okay! Give me a break.
So, Sam, would you say Revan is revving up? Because that was absolutely insane. Finding these hook shots of another one. Whales is just finding the worst end of the stick when it comes to this Widow duel, as Revan has caught fire.
Revan, after being picked off first by Whales, literally said, "Oh yeah, bet." And then from that point on, has just been unstoppable. They've been chewing through every single one of them. Jaiva loses out on the duel against QWQ, but as long as Revan is still alive, it feels like pretty much anything is possible. Deacon is going to expend the Transcendence. Oklahoma has so much time. Whales hit with the Accretion Rock. Nothing to follow up from them there, but A clean headshot from Revan is all that's needed to get rid of their mirror.
Yeah, and this hill that Oklahoma is going up right now is going to be the toughest part of this defense, is being able to get through this choke. Finds Azure, goes down. Revan has been revving those tires so much he's now caught them on fire.
Bubba has the Transcendence, even with the Gravitic Flux from Paralysis. Is not going to take down anyone from Washington, but they had to be so cautious of Revan, who's been running away with the headshots onto Washington. And already they're mostly inside of the hotel. Oklahoma is ripping away on this cord. Here comes the amplification matrix. Wales has an opportunity to fire through, but again, they're not really gaining and garnering much out of the other end of this. The aim is just not there. Paralysis, suffering a little bit of their own friendly fire, is gone. Oklahoma, they're just gonna have to back off, and Washington University gets to chill.
Yeah, and now that you have a chance to breed if you're Washington University, you have a chance with these hit scans to take these more favorable high ground defensive positions. So now that you've lost your momentum for Oklahoma, it's going to be that much tougher to push back in just because of this natural high ground Washington has available. So you're going to have to find a way to either find a pick early, or you're going to have to, like, maybe, you know, go underneath, undercover, and try and find a way up.
The important thing is don't lose your head. Don't let Revan do it. QWQ, a little scary for them. Sees him right there, and Revan does it again. They just keep getting away with it. Without Wales, Oklahoma sees this as their best opportunity. Okay, give me a break, Revan. They're just having the time of their life right now. It's just all so free. Peachy's gone, and this is pretty much just signed, sealed, and delivered for Oklahoma. Point B is now theirs.
Signed, sealed, deliver, I'm yours. This man, Revan, is just... there's not much more to say, man. He is just running this lobby right now. On the window, and finds another. Wales, get yourself back into spawn, my friend, as you're going to have to live to fight another day. And I feel like if you're Washington, you just need to back up. You got to get your full team and take these positions.
Just look around. You never expect the flanking Widowmaker up in your high ground. Revan is decimating Washington University. Looking like for even more opportunities. Trying to take a nice vacation at the pool side. This Revan Widow is having other plans of ideations. Here's the Gravitic Flux being used. Bring him up in the air. Meanwhile, Revan is once again on a heyday. Being that difference maker for this team. Even with the Gravitic Flux, no one could do anything. Finally, Paralysis gets eliminated, but it really doesn't matter because Oklahoma is just doing their own thing. Peachy's stuck in the corner. Peachy is going to fall by their hands, and Revan is just going to go right back up into the front lines and continuing doing what they do best.
And now, as the cart is winding the final quarter, 2 minutes left. Washington, I mean, you're coming up on a lot of ultimates, but Oklahoma's going to have to wait. They don't have their full team with them. They're down their Sigma. You're going to have to just be patient and wait a little bit.
They don't even have their Widowmaker anymore because Revan's still here. It's just the thinnest of margins. You give Revan an inch and they are going to take a mile every single time. Wales has the infrasight, and so now they know where the targets they want to acquire are. When Oklahoma sees the finish line right in front of them, the Dragons have come out. It's going to push them away just for the moment, and Paralysis needs to dip behind the corner to get some breathing room, and Washington University is going to have some of their own.
Yeah, you're going to have the ability to use this amplification matrix, but you guys are going to buy you a lot of time and a lot of damage on the field. Will at least force Oklahoma back. If not, find you some picks of your own, and then you will have this Transcendence online, but mostly you're just going to be saving it as Wales finally gets the better end of Revan in the Widow duel.
The demon has been conquered, but for how long? They will be back. It's a minute on the clock. Bubba, their support, right? But there's Zenyatta. And they are angry, they are furious. They are transcending in the damage meters.
They said, you know, just look into the tranquility and you're going to find death as Bubba is just getting kill after kill. You're going to need that if you're watching. This is some much needed momentum you've been waiting for. Be careful! Oh!
Wales just feeling like they barely get out. They want to tempt fate even more and try to go against it once again. Revan and Wales both still alive, the Widowmaker still going, and an amplification matrix again, trying to buy as much time as possible for Washington University.
as this will be final fight territory. Jaiva has been found on the flank, but they can't find the picks.
It's so close right there. They see it. Revan with these off-angle positions. Again, an inch turns into miles. And now the cart gets to progress even further. Final time for Washington University. They need to defend against Oklahoma with a whole chest of ultimates that this team has.
I was about to say, it doesn't even matter that Peachy is coming up on the flux. They have the ability to use the Transcendence.
Here it is. You think you're gonna survive through this? This maybe they get accretioned out of their gravitic flux. Doesn't really matter here for Peachy. Revan dominating the kill feed once more. Oklahoma inside of overtime, Ray, all of the way.
Revan said, I am angry that we lost that first map, and I am going to carry us on this map. And no matter what, I'm making sure we tie this series up heading into map number 3. And that was quite the show we just saw from Revan and the entirety of this Oklahoma squad. I mean, it's not just Revan. I mean, you get well-placed Discord arms. Yes, Revan's hitting some amazing headshots, but the team is putting a lot of pressure onto Washington. That's allowing Revan to find these off angles and have no pressure on him to allow him to find these headshots time and time again.
This replay is pretty much just a Revan headshot clip dump. We get some moments here and there.
I feel like Revan, you need a video, a highlight to highlight, how good of a player you are. Just take these highlights, man. Go back, watch the stream, take this clip.
To somewhat channel that same energy that Revan had for themselves.
Only time will tell, my friend Samuel, as we now load up these defenses. Load up the next round as Oklahoma. No surprises here. Nothing's changing. Question for me is, where is Revan going to look to hold? Do you just hold that bridge like we saw Wales doing, or do you look to get a little more aggressive, hold kind of like the very first point in the high ground that the attackers could normally take? But it looks like they are just going to hold this bridge. So if you're Washington, I mean, we saw on the defense, Wales was able to find some quick early picks and waste a lot of time. I feel like it's going to be on the onus of Wales to try and find an opening pick and force all of these players of Oklahoma back and get yourself a lot of space.
Washington University going to get a little bit more cart progress before meeting up against their targets. Googly eyes are going to see this team through. Revan, this is diabolical. That is just not fair. The off angles that this player takes and the positions that they're able to find themselves in, unreal. It feels like every single time. Again.
I feel like that's the thing, Sam, is that first shot they got on the Whales. If I was a sniper, I would not be expecting the Widow to be taking that angle. Like, they're just finding these creative spots to snipe from, and it's throwing the team of Washington completely off.
And the problem is, it's piecemeal by piecemeal. With Jaiva's elimination onto Deacon, or Bubble rather, sorry. Washington University just has to wait even longer. And now they don't even have the benefit of the payload next to them. They can't find protection or safety there.
Yeah, and with, how much domination Revan is finding in these defensive holds, it's going to make finding space that much harder. Look at that, Revan already finds Azur. There goes all of your heals.
There goes all of your heals. Put them up in the air. It almost becomes a game of where is Revan? And who is Revan's next target going to be? You look away from the kill feed long enough, Revan is going to be the one dominating on top of it. They may have descended upon it once again. It's not a headshot, but who really cares? Revan already has their ultimate, Ray.
I don't know if you know this reference, Sam, but it really feels like here's Revan, and he keeps getting his headshots. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous. His QWQ is like, all right, I've had enough of this. I'm going on to a dive here. I'm going on Genji. I'm getting on top of this guy. It feels like that's their only solution at this point.
It has to be. Put them up in the air. Right, almost onto Azur. Counting their lucky stars that the head wasn't what was clicked off. Now we're going to have a Dragon come forth, ripping it away. And QWQ's hopes of being that dive hero to make the difference is gone.
That it is. As goes on as Oklahoma is looking to tie up the series.
Gonna see this gravitic flux being expended. Bubba doesn't even, it's just, okay, all right. Deacon had the Transcendence available to save Oklahoma, but didn't really see it as any need to. It may just cost them there. Washington University had a lot of trouble, had a lot of issues until that one gravitic flux changed everything.
Yeah, Revan does find the pick on the QWQ, but it does not matter. The point has been capped, and if you're Washington, the size of relief can begin, but it is not over yet. As we talked about, this is where things get that much tougher. Revan is just going to have such incredible natural high ground, and he's just going to take full advantage as Bubba's head's been sniped.
They're on the stairs again. These angles that Revan takes is just disaster incarnate for Washington. They're even being forced to use a shield to try and stop Revan. And so that's not even defending them on the back foot. QWQ saw the eye in their in their mind, the shot that was coming towards them, and snipes it right back at Revan.
Yeah, and that's going to, not going to do a whole lot because everyone was still in spawn. It might buy them a little chance here to get the cart pushed a little bit, but in just a second, Revan's going to be back again and looking for your head. So you have to be extremely careful while pushing this if you're Washington.
They're still having difficulties getting back up the hill in general because Jaiva's there as well. You have a lot more of that front-loaded damage from the Hanzo. It's the amplification matrix. You heard the dink on Whales. Not enough to kill them, but now we're going to be slowed down by the usage of this gravitic flux. Bubba has the Transcendence, though, to see the team alive safely through this, as the Dragons are being used once more by Jaiva. No one to fall from it this time around. Cart barely just making it above the bend, even just up towards this high ground. Grecian Rug soars through the air, doesn't land on any of the necessary targets. There is a silver lining for Washington University that a head hasn't been clicked yet.
Yeah, and you gotten both the DPS ultimates off of the field and no more flux as well. As you're coming up on 3 ultimates, the Transcendence can only deal with 1, but QWQ goes down.
And Revan sees it again. Oklahoma. You may be able to put them down for a second, but they are never out. Always. As easy as that, it really feels like we're just playing AIM Labs or Kovacs.
It really does, because I think I was going to say, Sam, is you're coming up on Flux, Dragons, and your Dragon Blade. So you're in this situation for Oklahoma where you only have 1 Transcendence. You just use one of those 3 ultimates, force it out, and then click another ultimate, and you should be able to just take full advantage and cap this point with where the cart is. As we're going to see the Dragons come out.
Here it is, first of the Dragons, first of the ultimates from Washington University. Here, it's right there, right here. You hear the Transcendence being used. Now it's all on the shoulders of QWQ with their Dragon Blade, but they throw it out only to be shot down from the air. Revan is eaten good tonight. They have fallen, but the damage has already been done. Washington University now needs to pick up the pieces that Oklahoma just shattered in front of them.
My jaw just dropped, Sam. I saw that coming too. Massive swaps coming in on the side of Washington. Bubba's going over to Lucio. Whales now going over to the Sojourn, and they're going to keep the Genji. But that's just an absolutely momentum shattering play that Revan just made mid-blade.
Now they just get to casually sit back here, undeterred by anything really happening out there. Whole goal is just to keep an eye on QWQ, see them going into the back lines, and now with the infrasight up, not gonna be caught off guard too much. It had to have just been a pixel, enough to get rid of Azure, and now Washington University, with any hopes of sustainability, has now just been ripped away from them. PG is staying aligned by the thinnest and barest of margins, and maybe with the loss of Revan, there could be some hope for Washington University. But PG is now out of here, and they're actually making this happen. Washington University is holding on. They have done it. The switches that needed to have happened are actually giving them something. But 1 minute and 30 seconds, Ray, to go the rest of this distance.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough issue, because basically it's going to take you a lot of the time just to round the final corner. So you're essentially going to have to win 2 clean fights as you round the final corner to be able to take this. The good thing is you are coming up on a lot of ultimates, and Oklahoma used a lot in that previous fight. So the big thing they're going to have is that Transcendence. QWQ has a redemption coming online in this next fight, has the blade in his pocket once again.
Hopefully they've been tracking the ultimates of Deacon long enough to know that this Zenyatta doesn't have the Transcendence just yet. QWQ, it is a redemption arc. It is a story that this time needs to be retold in their favor. They go into the back line. They know that Deacon needs to be eliminated. 3 HP, Ray, and they still get to use the blade. You've gotten rid of Deacon, and now you've made just purchase here, Washington University a chance. They see it right there, the finish line, the golden gates of victory. Paralysis descended upon this team, segmented and disoriented. Deacon giving us a Transcendence, a just barely negligible moment here, as Washington University has met Oklahoma with time to spare.
Legitimately, Sam, I think the swap over to the Sojourn was a great call. Wales was finding rail shots time and time again, and that Lucio speed boost was actually doing a lot for Peachy, allowing them to easily get on top of and retreat if needed in that battle against Paralysis. So I think these swaps, although very unconventional, ended up working very well in their favor, and they finished with more time than Oklahoma after we thought Oklahoma just had the dominant attack.
It's going back and forth between these two teams. Washington University is not giving up, and no means is this team out just yet. Give it up to Bubba, though, for the switch onto the Lucio, and for how quickly they built up towards the sound barrier, and using it at just the right moment, like you said. This right here should have been Oklahoma. That point B, cap from Washington University, was all just fruition, and QWQ was right there. 3 HP. But their survival and their elimination of Deacon was everything they could have wanted, and then some. But now the onus is on Oklahoma to try and put the line in the sand for Washington University.
That's the thing, Sam, about that kill onto Deacon and getting out with 3 HP. If you go down there, if you're QWQ, you probably don't get that card across because the blade forced a lot out. It forced that Transcendence out early, and you probably would not have finished that. So that is huge plays as Oklahoma now gets the attack. That was the one thing, as Revan already finds a headshot. I was going to say, it took them a long time to get the first point, but already finding an opening pick does Revan.
Yes, they do. Right over the rooftops. And Jaib is taking a page from the playbook of Washington University, giving up hopes of the Hanzo, now going to give us the railgun of Sojourn. Looking around, seeing through the doorway, maybe an opportunity. They know QWQ has to be back at some point. The spawn timer is there for them, and they've set up for it. Give them a second. Maybe they may be able to rip their head off once again. It's not meant to be. Ichi falls. Washington University is giving up all of the space for Oklahoma.
Yeah, to me, that felt a little bit of a mistake if you're Washington. I mean, you basically just gave them this entire point for one fight. You didn't even make them take a second fight. And now you're in a position where they're gaining on their ultimates, and now we're going to see some swaps. Wales going back over to Sojourn, QWQ going over to the Genji. One has to think, I'm surprised they just didn't start on this to begin with, but I digress. They've made the swaps. Let's see if they can make something happen.
Now we're about into overtime, but Oklahoma is going so far off the back of just this alone. QWQ is going to try get into the sniper's faces. Bubba to join them too. It looked like it may have been right there. It's a trade for a trade, but you've lost Bubba. For Washington University, you've lost a lot of that speed. QWQ needs to find safety in harbor. Deacon is going to kick them away and out of here. Azur sees just the opening of the opportunities. The poke damage that Washington University is suffering, Oklahoma is more than happy to take advantage of.
Yeah, and overtime is ringing. We see the touch coming in, and Paralysis is able to stay alive. As now they're going to round this hill, and they should be able to get to the top of it, as Oklahoma didn't even use any ultimate, so they're still in a really good spot as they have 5 to use in this next fight, only going up against the 2 that Washington has.
Oklahoma not fumbling the bag, that much is for sure. Washington University throwing them up into the air with a great flux. Deacon didn't have the Transcendence, and so it was just as easy as that, it feels like. With the Immortality field gone, this is just a heyday for Peachy to do whatever they want, rock right into all of their targets. Finally, overtime ticks away for Oklahoma. But I mean, you're right there at point B, Ray. And for 1 minute and 14 seconds, that's a negligible amount of time differential. So this is going to be a big moment for Washington University.
Yeah, considering you only had a minute, that is so much distance gained for Oklahoma. Puts the pressure down on to Washington. But conversely, if you're Washington, you could say, man, if we're able to get this all the way and go up 2-0, this will be absolutely devastating for the side of Oklahoma and might be that just burst of mental destruction that you're wanting to deploy onto the side of Oklahoma.
And this time around, Ray, no misconceptions are being made from Washington. They do not want to try and fight Revan on their own turf. This is the composition that has found them the most success. This is the composition that helped get them over the finish line and at a better finish line than Oklahoma did. But now this composition needs to exceed what was already an impossible task.
Yeah, if we remember correctly, Sam, it took Washington the entire 4 minutes to be able to get that across point A, and not until they swapped QWQ over to the Genji did they finally make something happen. So starting out this right out of the gate is what I like to see. Just go with what's been working and what has made things happen in this series. They will have to be careful of Revan. We know the angles he likes to take. So at this point, they should know this by now and should be very careful and wary.
And you see how much they're trying to deny Revan. It was almost there on the Bubba, a little bit too sneaky. And this time around, look at how aggressive Washington wants to be. Get right in their faces and push Oklahoma back so they can get the cart even further along.
Yeah, this is how you have to be if you're playing this Lucio Genji. Use your speed and your aggression to your advantage and make things happen. Do not allow these hit scans to have all the space.
It is so important figuring out where Revan is. This has been the crux of everything so far, it feels like. Peachy holding on for dear life, and it's just not going to be good enough. Paralysis walks onto them. The damage is being done in full. Less than 20 seconds to go, Washington University in St. Louis needs to regroup now or never.
Yeah, as you got to completely back up here. You're going to be able to take one more fight. And this is looking rough as Revan is just able to take all the angles he wants. And look at the low players up there.
Bubba tried to get over to save Azure, but Washington University in St. Louis doesn't even...
Prizes here. We are going to go to the streets of India. It is Saravasa.
And of course, this is going to be the map choice of Washington University in St. Louis. Not much to choose from, of course, when it comes to Flashpoint, but there is a lot that they can choose from when it comes to their roster, which we are having substitutions once more. Elo and Bradley are both back in. And it makes sense, right? We saw how well they did on Lijiang Tower, and Saravasa kind of fits that bill, right? Right? You're looking for these different kind of compositions, these sort of more brawlier style compositions, and ELO and Bradley did a phenomenal job at them. Bradley's Lucio finding so much value for Washington University, and same for ELO when we saw them playing on the Soldier.
Yeah, this is likely where we see them go back to their roots. We'll see Bradley go back to Lucio, Elo go over to the Sojourn. We're likely to see, most likely, Orisa mirrors on a map all four, as we see both teams highlighting exactly that. QWQ obviously will just turn into Tracer after teleporting the team out, and that Mercy more than definitely is going to become a Kiriko. So we're in a situation where, again, I think just back to Lijiang Tower and how close that map was, where it was like 99-99 on so many of those points. I think this is what we can expect for both of these teams in this mirror.
It's a 1-1 series right now. Whichever team takes the W on this map, it's going to pull ahead and bring themselves onto the series point in this first of 3 semifinals and go on into the grand finals. Ooh, right there. I was playing with a little bit of fire from QWQ, but they recall in time and save themselves from the railgun shot, and just in general being that nuisance. Gonna form all over the place, but Jaiva sees it, not gonna miss this time. But QWQ out of here, Washington University, even though they're on the point, not gonna be able to get too much out of it. ELO up in the air, or Paralysis headshots them away. Oklahoma, right back into it.
You still away 15% if you're watching. You're going to be able to get your players back and re-engage, but Oklahoma can now look to press forward. Is a great spear coming out from Paralysis, as now they're just going to look to retreat, play the point, and they're able to take these positions, find out where Washington wants to attack from, and get ready and meet them there.
Put it up on the high ground. Jaiva sees everything from up there, trying to call or echo back to their plays on the echo itself. And you're gonna have such a difficult time. Look at this, both players just holding up onto that high ground and really causing a nuisance here for Washington University to even attempt to get onto the site. As Revan gets another pick off onto QWQ, Azure desperately wanting to keep the team going, and Protection Suzu expended. Massive cooldown in favor of Oklahoma that they've drawn out. Revan has been eliminated though, and now things are looking like much more on equal footing. Oklahoma is now at that 80% marker.
That's a trade for a trade. You have an opportunity here if you're Washington to be able to push in. Consuming Rush can be deployed, and they're going to do exactly that.
Yeah, get right into them. But Azure and Deacon both had the same idea as Jaiva, who's taking more advantage out of this. Oklahoma, in general, taking more out of this. Bradley expends the sound barrier, but really to keep the final 3 remaining players alive. It's nowhere near enough to be able to punch through Oklahoma. Nowhere near enough to be able to stop them. And even worse, Peachy getting staggered.
Yeah, and Oklahoma absolutely dominating the first point. I think the big reason has been Revan dominating the Tracer duel against QWQ. Feels like every fight we get into, QWQ is the first pick, whether it's by Revan or we even saw at one point it was Jaiva. If you're QWQ, you got to find a way to not be the first one picked, and you got to be able to apply pressure on these supports. As now we move over to Gardens, and Oklahoma already has a defensive position set up on this point.
It feels like they're just going to be able to run away with it. Finally, Washington University is going to be able to get over here. QWQ hitting the recall already, and now Revan's Pulse Bomb is going to send all kinds of shockwaves throughout Washington University. PG had no chance of being able to survive this onslaught of damage. Now Washington just has to get off here and let Oklahoma do what they do best, taking up those points.
And now you're in a position, if you're watching, you're going to have a slight ult advantage. So this is your chance to really, make something happen. As happy as, use the sound barrier early. This is definitely looking good for Washington. That's another ultimate committed.
That would have been like a fat finger right there. Just maybe a slip there, accidentally popped off the sound barrier. Like, they were under no pressure, really, it felt like. Now we're going to see the dueling overclocks once more. Jaiva hiding around the corner, coming and dipping their head in and out. A lot of damage dealt onto Peachy, but ELO is not going to find much of the same success as their counterpart. We're looking towards Jaiva trying to get away from Peachy. They're sailed up, they're back up to full, and they are having the time of their lives with no one really standing up against them. Peachy looking towards all possible angles. The Terror Surge has come in, drawing them in. No one is going to fall from that. Revan gets off another immaculate pulse bomb stick from ELO. Peachy's elimination again. Washington University is out of here.
As you do give up 40% if you're Oklahoma, but you did get Washington to commit several ultimates. I feel like in exchange for the 40% and final fight territory, you will take that every day to Sunday, as they're only going to have the sound barrier coming into this last fight on Gardens, if they even can get there in time, Sam.
They're going to be cutting it close. At Razor's Edge, they need to get there now or surrender it over to them. QWQ may be able to keep the dream alive here for Washington University, but the Foxes are maybe able to guide Oklahoma into a nightmare for Washington University. Get on top of it, get rid of ELO. Bradley gets it off just in the nick of time. A sound barrier to keep them alive, but Paralysis sees this as an opportunity to Terror Surge whatever overhealing away that they had. Jaiva eliminates the mirror matchup. Happy gives the speed boost, gives the healing back over to their team, keeps them alive, and gives them point number 2. Now, map point.
As Oklahoma has started to heat up, they are absolutely dominating this map so far, and they were able to bank 3 ultimates heading into Palace, and the RNG gods have blessed them, Sam, because you get Palace right next to Gardens. You're able to quickly set up on the point, and Washington's going to be facing you in a stronghold position. So things are just continuing to snowball in the ways of Oklahoma.
Javelin Spear from the gods. Revan does it again. You put them on Widowmaker, they're sniping. You put them on Tracer, they're sniping with pulse bombs. Every single time this player throws one, it is going to get value in one way, shape, or another.
It's just a beauty to see Revan absolutely dominating this series. Azure does have the Kitsune Rush available to commit into this fight. Suzu already been used. They might need to use this in order to get this point back.
It's already not looking good for Peachy. A stick this time around from OW2 does enough damage to Paralysis to get rid of them here. Washington University, the Foxes have been expended and a pulse bomb. At the very least, they get the points.
I think you'll take that. I mean, Oklahoma didn't commit any ult, so for Oklahoma standard, that's pretty good. You didn't use any. You got Washington to use 2. So now you get to come back. You're coming up on a bunch of your own, and you should be able to flip this pretty well, especially since Bradley doesn't have the sound barrier on anytime soon. So you can use this Jaiva overclock to really open things up before that comes online.
Window of opportunity. Disruptor shot's gonna slow them down only for a moment. You're hearing it in now. Jaiva is the one that rings more truth than Elo. Seeing it over. Who dares to walk onto this point? Who dares stand up against us? Oklahoma, just as quickly as they lost this point, have already gotten it back, Ray. And all it took, 2 ultimates.
Yeah, 2 for 1, because you also got Elo to use the overclock of their own, so you put yourself in such a good position if you're Oklahoma. Final fight for Washington to keep their Saravasa hopes alive. Bradley's sound barrier should provide a lot of defense for them in this next fight.
All right. First expansion of the Foxes, Deacon. Bradley staying safe. Not suffering an Ajax here. But guess who has it eaten by the Javelin Spin? Peachy needs to Terra Surge. Whatever you have healing-wise, pump it into them. Jaiva is going to throw the railgun headshot into the face of Washington University. There is not much left in the tank for this team. There is not much left in the health department. Paralysis swarming over them all. Oklahoma planting their flag. Suravasa is theirs, and so is Series Point. Who knows? Because indeed so, our potential final battleground of the night is going to be happening on Esperanza. And I say potential because if Washington University can close it out here, we go on to our 5th final map of Hybrid, unless we get a tie, then we go into Control. But Esperanza, if Oklahoma can close it out here, it's all done and dusted. We are going to be seeing our first competitor in the grand finals.
Folks, I know you can't see me, but I was rolling my eyes as he's trying to say he's a fortune teller. Esperanza is the map we almost always go to when it comes to push. Like, come on, man. Especially when new Clean Sheet was off the table. Nobody likes Coliseum.
I gotta take that. Yeah, that's why they're reworking it, right? Oh my gosh.
They're removing the glass.
Yeah, they're breaking the glass walls. So
time.
But hey, you know, Washington University and St. Louis, right? This is it for them. Their last chance, their last opportunity to keep their heads above.
As we are going to see mirror matchups once again, which to me is going to put the onus on Washington to try and flip the script. But Oklahoma, you got to favor them in this mirror matchup. We saw Elo really pop off previously on Circuit on the Sojourn. We saw him have some good moments on Lijiang Tower as well. So kind of looking toward him to make something happen on this Sojourn.
Washington University are going to be the first ones to get towards the bot. Clean headshot from Elo deals a lot of damage onto the team that Oklahoma has to kind of try and skirt and respect. QWQ being much more conservative in the ways that they're going about poking and prodding at the back line of Oklahoma. We're one of the first ones to perish a lot of the times in these team fights, and that created so much issues for Washington University that they cannot let happen again. We're close to getting rid of the elimination onto Happy, but neither one of these teams really gained the leg up on each other just yet. The favor looks like it's starting to lean towards Oklahoma with how much ground they've been able to conquer.
Yeah, Revan is putting so much pressure onto Peachy. They are not able to keep up in the heals department. Suzu's already been used, and it's getting close.
Already, Azure, right as they get it back up, they're being descended upon. Get out of there. With whatever you have, Revan was focused and targeted. The elimination onto Azure, Oklahoma, it's begin pushing the bot even further. Whatever minuscule amount that they had, looking to turn minuscule into massive.
Yeah, Revan just feels like a dog with a bone on this Tracer, just continuing to hunt and prod and chase down these targets. You cannot escape when Revan has his locks on you. And he is just showing that time and time again. They're already getting ready to round the final corner and get these first point spawns already unlocked.
Washington University, right there. Meter to go. A stick from Revan. Protection Suzu to keep them alive. Now we're seeing both of the Foxes down on the field, intersecting and crossing the lines against each other. The high ground is given over to Washington University, and Bradley popping off the sound barrier to keep their tank alive. Peachy takes so much damage. In the ways that they're still alive, they hold off and they hold on here, actually prevent the forward spawns from being activated. Something that they desperately needed, and something that they can be very happy that they prevented from happening.
Yeah, big team fight win coming in from Washington. However, it did cost them 3 of their ultimates. And again, Oklahoma keeping themselves nice and green in the ult exchange battle. They only used 2 in that fight. So yes, you're going to start gaining some distance if you're Washington. But Oklahoma is going to be back fast. And they're going to have 1 more ultimate to be able to commit to this fight if they need to. But we've seen in situations where Oklahoma comes to these fights. I look back to Saravasa, where they come through, use 1 or 2 ultimates, and bingo bango, the fight's over and they've won it.
Now this might be an interesting wrinkle, Ray. We've had a disconnect.
Yeah, that could be one of the ultimates offline. Oklahoma, that was one of their players who had an ultimate online.
That was Happy. That was the Lucio with a sound barrier. This unfortunate circumstance, that has to hurt. Knowing that just happened. Washington University, it's something that you don't want to think of very often, but now that's going to be at the back of your mind, especially for Oklahoma. How are they going to deal with this? The difference in that they're going to be approaching this upcoming team fight.
Yeah, you're in a situation now where basically it's just overclock and Terra Surges versus each other. So really, I mean, Jaiva can just get the better end of the overclock because Washington used their sound barrier in that fight anyway. So you pretty much just put yourself on even ground. You just don't have that extra ult to commit anymore like you thought you would.
Oh, they're going to get right in their faces. Protection Suzu pop from Deacon, push them away. Elo seeing around this overclock, not getting any value. Same a little bit for Jaiva, but they're up in the air. Now they get to go right back into it with the Terror Surge. Peachy tried to use one of their own, but here's the problem with that, Ray. No one from their team was alive.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like you should have just held on to that Terror Surge for the next fight. And now you're in a situation where you're probably going to get these forward spawns unlocked if you're Oklahoma. So now, I mean, going forward, we talk about it on these push maps for Washington to get any kind of distance going. Now they're going to have to win 2 team fights in a row as butt scratch mode is now engaged. So they're not going to get much distance outside of that, while Washington should be able to take a fight here on the corner.
Oh, you've eliminated Revan, but an exchange in blood for QWQ. Rather, Washington University still somewhat favored right now, being now in their own home turf. Sees Happy up in the air. Bradley, smelling the blood in the water, has to get rid of them. And just holding on by a thread of health, Elo is alive. So are the hopes and dreams of Washington University. Oklahoma does have those forward spawns. Oklahoma can take advantage of them.
And be able to win that with 0 ult commit from Washington's really good, because as we talked about with the close spawns, they're going to have to take another team fight here. So now they have the ults to be able to combat Oklahoma in this next fight. So if they play their cards right, Sam, in this next fight, they could get themselves these forward spawns based on where the card is right now, or the bot is right now.
Continues to move forward for Washington University. The Foxes, which team is going to be guided by them better? Elo, right there through the thread in the needle, has gotten rid of Revan. QWQ continuing to push the bot forward and getting much needed, valuable bot cart progress. pull them around, put them down on the ground. Washington University in command and control the high ground once more. They need to make sure to keep an eye on this spot and not let it go any further away. Forward spawns are so close to this team, but Revan, as always, needs and wants to be that difference maker for Oklahoma, and what a difference maker they are.
And a big javelin coming from Paralysis 2 onto Elo of the Sojourn. However, I think Washington just played that smart. Knew Oklahoma committed both their Pulse Bomb and their Terror Surge in this fight. Didn't commit anything else. So now they get to re-engage with 4 ultimates versus the 2 that Oklahoma have. We've been preaching Oklahoma and how well they've been able to do in staying in the green in their ult economy. Now they find themselves in a massive disadvantage in this next fight.
WQ in that forward scout. Gather the information. Elo with the Javelin Spear, overclocked away. You've seen Happy using the sound barrier, and now out comes the QWQ Pulse Bomb. Sticks onto Paralysis, but they get away, and the healing is so precise that whatever damage was done has immediately been undone. Washington University trying to get the cart progress back under their control. Oklahoma more than ready to give up some of this ground to fight in a much more ideal position. Deacon throwing out the Foxes just as for added effect. PG is going to give us a Terror Surge. This Terror Surge is going to come up with zilch almost, it feels like. Jaiva is chomping down on Washington University, chewing right through every single last one of them.
Listen, Jaiva is jiving right now, man. They're just having a fantastic game. You know, finding these headshots on the Sojourn time and time again. And they even had a great game on Circuit Royale, despite, you know, Revan kind of taking over. They were also great supporting DPS on that map. As Oklahoma also Pulse Bomb for Revan. He's just been farming these as another one online. Absolutely insane on the Tracer.
You better be watching out, seeing where that's going to be going. This time around didn't get the effect that it was looking for, and it even cost them their own life to make this happen. But while all of this has been going on, Oklahoma continues to close the distance on what could be the finish line here against Washington University in St. Louis. This team just hasn't been able to find any breaks against the onslaught that is Oklahoma.
Yeah, you have a chance here if you're watching it. You're gonna have the Kitsune Rush. Deacon's not even close to it, and there's no sound here online for Happy, so you could get a really good advantage here if you play this Kitsune Rush right.
They're gonna pull them away. Battle of the bridges once more. Azura's gonna give us the Kitsune Rush. Oklahoma's gonna back away, rotate towards the clock tower, back under another one of the bridge of their own, still in possession of the forward spawn. Bradley, though, finds a pickoff onto Revan. Now it's time to take up this high ground position once more. Oklahoma just gonna let them have it. Just give it up for a second. Washington University in St. Louis gonna be able to work towards some forward spawns of their own. But Oklahoma needs back up against them once again.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Washington's playing this as well as they could. Oklahoma, however, I mean, this is going to be a chaotic fight. So we got 8 ultimates online across the board for both of these teams. So, again, who's going to get aggressive and find the early quick picks?
Oh, what a beautiful spear. That protection, Suzu, has kept Happy alive. This team is so good at peeling for each other. When disaster was about to happen, Oklahoma averts it time and time again. And now with just a minute left to go and a whole bevy of ultimates on their side, they are ready to close this out.
Yeah, both teams have the ability and the opportunities with all the ults online for both teams. No one committed anything into that fight. However, Oklahoma has re-unlocked the forward spawns for them, so that's only going to make this comeback for Washington that much harder.
And Peachy's already in the thick of it. Oh my goodness, Jaiva is toppling them all. Oklahoma toppling them all, one by one by one.
And Sam, that was in exchange for 3 of Washington ults for 2 of Oklahoma's. They have found the rhythm again in the ult economy. Oklahoma looking to close things out right here and right now and try to win the series and punch their ticket to the grand finals.
They have gone the distance. Oklahoma, the finish line right in front of them, and the Deacon Kitsune rush may be able to bring them there. Azure has one of their own, but with QWQ out of here, they do get the advantage of the spawns being where they are, and Bradley is not going to let this fall away. We have now been brought into overtime, but here is the issue, Ray. Oklahoma can just take all the time in the world that they want. There is nothing less than perfection from Washington that they need to accomplish.
And you're going to have the forward spawns. You're going to be able to take another fight. You are looking to have to win like 4-5 fights if you're Washington, and you have, I mean, maybe you get this sound barrier and overclock online, but Revan, we talked about how clutch he's been in this series, has a pulse bomb, and can absolutely end the series right here and now with another big pulse bomb.
Bot is about to get to the forward spawn, but Oklahoma's already there, using the forward spawns of their own. Keep an eye out for Revan. Keep an eye out for that pulse bomb. They're going to go into it. May not even need it for Alice's landing javelins, but they're going to do it anyways. The tank blown up to Kingdom Come. And with that, the dreams of Washington University in St. Louis. Oklahoma are your winners here in Esperanza. 3-1 in this series. And are now going to go into the grand finals to take on the winner of Briarcliff University or Coe College. Well, what a series this has been, Ray.
Yeah, that was absolutely ridiculous. Both teams, they fought so hard, but Oklahoma...